Hi, Sia. Here's a little lesson about the Lotus Dance to help you get started on your own. The first thing that's important to practice is going to be the scale for this piece of music. And now it's a really interesting scale. It's called a pentatonic scale. And I think we started out with this scale at the beginning of the year. We were playing Skyboat Song, if you remember, and it uses this 2-finger scale. On the D and A strings for this scale, we'll just use the first and third fingers. So the pattern is 0, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3. In this piece of music, it uses the same scale, which is awesome. The pentatonic scale has 5 notes. Pent, like pentagon, meaning 5, okay? And tonic, meaning center. So this is a really interesting scale because it has 5 centers. So it doesn't really sound minor or major. It's not like really happy or really sad. It's more open sounding. And that's what I think gives it the characteristic sound that sounds Japanese. It's also used, this scale is used in a lot of Chinese music as well. And the piece we learned earlier this year was actually Scottish. So a lot of people use this scale and it's really beautiful. So it is definitely worth practicing. I wrote it down for you so you can, if you'd like to, you can pause the video. We're going to, in class we did this much of it. D, E, G, A, B, D. So I'll write down the finger numbers for you as well, so you know which string we're on here. So this is open D. So we go D, E, G, open A, B, D. Okay, and that's how much we needed for Skyboat Song. But in the Lotus Dance, we actually go lower onto the G string as well. So on the G string, we have the notes G, A, and B. And it's actually going to end up being different fingers because we went down below another octave. So this is going to be G, A, B is going to be 0, 1, 2 on the G string. And then we'll go 0, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3. So if you'd like to write that down, you can pause the video and write that down. And I'll go ahead and play it for you now. So let's play this scale together 5 times to warm up. Feet on the floor. Nice round bow holds. Flexible thumb. Take a nice deep breath. Softening the shoulders, bringing the instrument up to the collarbone. Keep the shoulders soft. Drop the head on the chin rest. Find a beautiful left hand shape. Make sure your elbows are round enough so that your first finger has enough space so you don't hurt it. And we're gonna go all the way to the G string, so it's really important your elbow comes as close to the center as it needs to be, right? Not way over here, of course, but find somewhere, be aware of that elbow. Okay, that it's close enough to your center. All right, we'll start on the G string and we're going to do half notes nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. D. A. Back down. Again, here we go. Let's go ahead and take it a little bit faster. It's really important that you do practice your scales before you learn a piece of music. It's going to make it so much easier when you start to learn this. Because you'll be like, oh, I'm using the pentatonic scale. I know which notes are going to be in this piece of music. And there are going to be less surprises. It'll less be like, why am I skipping this F sharp all the time? Why am I skipping C? Because it's this pattern, okay? Let's do the pattern 3 more times. We'll do it a little faster. We'll do quarter notes instead of half notes. So, dum, ba, dum, dum. Nice and tall. Soften the shoulders. Tap that pinky. Make sure your elbow's close enough to your center. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, G. Ready, again. One more, go. So, see, something I just remembered, which is a really good tip if you're working on getting your elbow to do its thing, is to imagine that there's a stick in between your elbows, okay, and it's connecting them together. And watch, as I change strings, watch my elbows. You see how they move together? Bah. So when my bow goes down, my elbow goes out. When my bow goes up, my elbow goes in. So that's kind of a good thing to practice. Okay? So, now that we've practiced that scale, it's feeling pretty comfortable. I'll go ahead and play the piece of music for you. Before I do, I'll just say this is mostly for listening right now, and here's what I would recommend. Try to smash your way through it once or twice, just so you get a good idea of what's happening. Then start practicing. And practicing means you take one measure, maybe two measures at a time, learn the notes, pizzicato, and then put the bow on. You can try just the rhythms with your bow if that's helpful sometimes. Quarter, eighth note, quarter, whatever it is, or just pizzicato the notes. Sometimes if you do find this to be pretty easy, which it might be pretty easy for you because it's not that hard of a piece, and now that you know the scale, it might be even easier. If you do find it to be really easy, you can just start with the bow right away, okay? I would still recommend doing one, maybe two measures, and then practicing that 5 times before you move on. If you just try to play the whole thing over and over again, you're just going to get frustrated and kind of waste your own time. So that's my recommendation, but I'll go ahead and play it now all the way through so you can hear it. You will notice that there are some different dynamics in here. There's a mezzo forte, there's a piano, there's mezzo piano. I think at the beginning of this semester, we were talking about changing dynamics using highway lanes. So I'll just review real quick. In this, we're going to actually need the pianissimo. So here's what we're going to do. Highway lanes 1 through 5 look like this. 1 is by the fingerboard, 2, 3 is in the middle, 4, and then 5 is right by the bridge. So we're going to use those 5 dynamics as such. If you want to write this down, you can as well. Or it kind of makes sense, and I'll say it as we go. So when we're piano, we're going to be here. Or excuse me, pianissimo. We need the pianissimo this time. So this is going to be our pianissimo. Super extra quiet, double P. Piano will be highway lane 4. Mezzo piano will be in the middle. Highway lane 3. Mezzo forte will be here. Highway lane 4. And forte will be all the way to the bridge. Okay? 5. So let's try it. I'll go ahead. I'll try to shout the sounding points out as I go. Highway lanes. The professional term for highway lanes is sounding point. So that's the point at which, contact point. All those kind of mean the same thing. Contact point is where you're contacting the string with your bow. Sounding point is another name for that same thing. And highway lanes is kind of the kiddie name for it when we're first teaching the concept. All right, here we go. This is Lotus Dance. Let me just make it a tiny bit smaller here so I can see the whole thing. And my feet are on the floor. My bow hold is nice and round with a bent thumb. Deep breath to soften the shoulders. Instrument comes up, shoulders stay soft. Find that stop sign and make sure your elbow is coming around to support your wrist and your first finger has enough space. And we are going to start on the first finger, mezzo forte, a little bit close to the bridge, nice and solid. And here we go. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Circle, piano. Mezzo. quieter. Circle softer. And you'll notice I kind of drift away as I get quieter there. So if you see these shapes, I'm kind of drifting away from the bridge to let it get quieter. And at the end, you just want it to disappear into the mist. When I'm playing this piece, I always just imagine the lotus flower just floating out in the middle of the water. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but they grow like out in usually like muddy ponds. And it's just like kind of out, and they're so bright pink in the middle of just kind of all of this darkness. So there's a lot of symbolism that surrounds the lotus, and I think this piece of music is very beautiful and really represents that feeling of just, there's kind of maybe darkness all around, but there's this kind of bright pop of color and of hope even within all of that. So I really hope you enjoy this. Please let me know if you have any questions, and this would be a really great one for you to perform for our concert. Thanks for being a great student. I'll talk to you soon.